think we'll get going. Good morning, everyone. My name is Laura Hodgkiss and I'm the Event and Training Team Leader here at Staffordshire Chamber of Commerce. And today our webinar is selecting your marketing mix for business revival with Fiona Miller, and we're delighted to have her here today. Just a couple of things from me. We do want this to be an interactive session today, so we're really asking if you have any questions or you want to halfway through the session, that's absolutely fine. Fiona's really interested in doing it interactive and getting your opinions and your questions along the way. For those of you that don't know, there are a couple of ways that you can communicate with us today. So there is the chat function at the bottom of the screen, as well as the Q&A as well. We'll also be taking live questions as well, which you can do by raising your hand, not like this, but a virtual hand, which you can do just underneath your name where there is a button that just says raise your hand. So we will be able to do that with you today. Just note on that, if you do decide to speak and do a live question, if you have your camera on, we will be able to see you, and some of the attendees will as well. So just bear that in mind, just in case you don't want to be seen today. The only other thing I would say is on your top right hand screen, there will be different views that you'll be able to see this today. So I would recommend the gallery view, because that actually allows you to have the presentation on a live view and then Fiona at the side. And you can also move Fiona around if you the parts of the slide that you can't see. So if you want to move Fiona's little box, you can do that as well. Brilliant. I think we've got most people here. I don't think there's any attendees. And for those of you that have arrived a little bit late or want to watch this at a later date or have to leave a little bit earlier, we will be recording it as well and popping it on our webinar library. With that all to do, we'll get going. And Fiona Miller, it's over to you.
Morning. Thanks, Laura. Thank you everyone for joining us this morning. It's nice to have you with us again. So today, as you can see, we were here for selecting your marketing mix, and it's marketing mix tends to be made up of putting the right products and services in front of the right people at the right time in the right places. So as we all know, that can be quite the thing to get the formula right. So hopefully after today, you'll have some more tips that perhaps you've seen before, but they will be a good refresher for you to be able to look at your strategy and put something together that hopefully will then enable you to come out of the pandemic with a sense of confidence that you're going to be doing the right thing. So again, for those who didn't join us last time, just a bit of background on the Growth Hub. We've been going for a while now. We were established by the LEP, and we actually are a signposting service as well as providing our own advice as well. If anybody has any topic in business that they want to talk to us about, whether that's finance, whether that's marketing, HR, or general business planning, then you're more than welcome to contact the Growth Hub at any time, and we are fully funded, so there'll be no cost at any point to yourselves. And again, for those who were on last time, you'll know that I'm not the best at timekeeping sometimes, that I do like a chat. So I've put my contact details here just in case anybody does need to leave us early, or if we just run on a little while and you need to pop off the session. If anybody wants to make a note of those contact details now, and I will be sharing them again at the end. You can also get involved with us on social. So the Growth Hub's got a Twitter and a LinkedIn account, and then I've got my own personal ones there as well. So please feel free to get involved, give us a shout out, and then when I'm off the session, I'll be able to share those. Okay, so the marketing mix, it can be made up of various models. You've probably heard in the past of 4Ps, you would have heard of 7Ps. Whilst 4Ps was a model that was created in the 50s, and whilst it still creates the backbone of most marketing strategies, it actually, for me now, feels a little bit dated, just purely because it was compiled so long ago when actually we didn't have that digital interaction. So this is my interpretation of pulling together the marketing, what consists of the marketing mix. And what we're going to do today is go through each of these areas. We're going to give examples. You're going to get the opportunity at any point to chip in, pop a question to Laura. She will shout that out for us, or you can speak on screen as well, whichever you prefer. And hopefully as we go through, you'll all learn something from the session. As I say, a lot of it might not be new to you, but it could be a good refresher, and hopefully there will be a few golden nuggets in there that you can take away today and really will set you off on the right track for what to do next. So first of all, looking at external factors, well, it's no secret to us at the moment which situation we're in. 2020 is a big old year, so we've obviously got the current pandemic situation and we've got the impending EU exit. So we are dealing with some huge external factors this year. So you can look at a pestle analysis. I put one together when I was preparing for this. It's been a little while since I did a pestle analysis, but it's probably, I have to say, the strongest one I've ever done in terms of external factors. And we know what we're dealing with politically. We've also got the amount of influence at the moment that the government have over those situations with the pandemic and the EU exit. We've got political potential uncertainty with the economy. We believe that might affect B2C businesses because there would be some instances of consumer lost confidence. So these are the big factors that we're battling with. We know that there's some social change and hopefully some really positive social change as well to attitudes with work-life balance, health, career. So they could represent some opportunity there. We've got the technological, well, we all know how heavily reliant we are on technology right now, and thank goodness, what would we be doing without it? And that has further enabled businesses to evolve. It's enabled them to use different technological processes to move their business forward, that hopefully after the pandemic they will retain, and there'll be new ways of working, whether that's for manufacturing or whether that's for office-based as well. And then the environmental, I think that this is really going to have an impact after the pandemic, because there's a lot of talk around reduced carbon footprint due to the less vehicles on the road. So there should be some real positive influence there. And of course, we know the legal factors because we have had government closures, and also we will be opening back up under new law and having to adhere to new processes. So we are dealing with some huge, huge factors, which is no secret to any of us. Another area that you can look at for your external factors is your competitors. I talked briefly in the last webinar that even if they are national brands, they are really good places to look to see what they're doing, just purely because we can be guided by each other, and also we can take influence from that as well, or maybe take the opposite and see what we don't want to be doing. So definitely keep your eyes focused out at the moment. I think that's real. It's been a challenging time, and I think the first natural point of call is to look inward. And I really feel at the moment now we're starting to come through that pandemic and we're going towards this next phase, that we can now really start to look outward as well. Again, as Laura said, and I said earlier, please feel free at any point to raise your hand, pop a question in the chat box, or come over to speak to us, throw in any thoughts and questions. And if you want to make notes throughout as well, that's absolutely fine. So the good old SWOT analysis, we've all used them. We've used them in different ways. It can be really, really useful in marketing just because it's such a quick and easy tool to use to get a snapshot internally of where we're at. So of course, that's your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. I've thrown a couple of examples together just off the top of my head. So here we've got a training provider who trades B2B. The strengths, that he's got an enthusiastic team and a loyal customer base. The weaknesses to overcome is that they usually work face-to-face with both the sales and the delivery. There's the opportunity to build a new service range and reduce the end user's price point. But actually the threat is that he doesn't have the tech team to build the platforms and the competitor does, and that's a worry. And this is something where we don't, at this stage of the marketing mix, have to do anything with this information. So we can literally just write down the SWOT analysis and move on for a little while, and then it's something that we keep in our minds that helps us to forge our goals. We've got an architect here as an example who trades in both markets, B2B and B2C. We've got that they've got a good reputation and the quality of work as a strength. There might be a potential commercial work reduction, but we've also got an opportunity because the don't move improve market may increase if the residential movers decide to stay put in their homes. And the threats are that the competitor is already focused on that market, so that will be one of the challenges that this client would look to overcome. So again, feel free to chip in. I'll move on for now. Also internal factors, and I'm sure for most businesses, I certainly know for the Chambers and for the Growth Hub, this has come into play, that there'll be different changes, including the ways that you operate at the moment, whether that's remote working, whether that's reduced hours, have you got a different staff resource? And mindset as well is a huge one here, because we've all been through this pandemic. We're probably feeling a little bit battered and bruised and tired. We might have a different outlook on life in general or on the business. So really that can create a huge change in the strategy overall. So looking at the products and services, this is where we can really start to make some adaptations if we feel that we need to. So it's just to start with, if you just define your current offering, what do you offer? Are there going to be any changes required? Has the marketplace changed? Will you need to work differently? Will you need to offer reduced services, or will you be increasing them because you're working in a marketplace that's got a sector opportunity? Is the pricing strategy right? Are you going to look to tweak that? You can make a list of the strengths of your products just to remind yourselves at this stage. Explore any weak points. So that could be supply chain. It could be that actually you feel that your product or service is not applicable at the moment. It could be that your competitors have steamed way ahead and launched a new line, and you feel that you might have just lost a little bit of footing. So spend a little bit of time writing down everything to do with your products or services, and then at the end of that, once you've had that thought process, you might then be able to look at redefining the revised offering if you need to. It might be that you're absolutely fine and you can forge on ahead as you always did. So again, if anyone's got any questions or comments at the moment, then please feel free to chip in. The next area that we would look at would be the budget, and this is the marketing budget. Whilst you're doing this, you might also consider your overall budget forecast for the business. There's absolutely no harm, and you can make these models your own. You can really mix and match them. If you don't want to do a certain area of it, that's absolutely fine. And it's not for me to say that you should be cautious at the moment. There are going to be people coming out of this pandemic who they're very brave and they feel that actually they've got an opportunity here, and they might ramp up their spend. So it's not for me to say that that spend should reduce or increase, but you know what's achievable for your business, and you know if you can make marketing spend available. And it might be that you do an interim budget that you first put up a very small amount because you want to feel cautious. But actually, as you come through the other side, that once you've achieved certain amounts of the goals, you can then make extra spend available. So whichever strategy for your budget is right for you. And it's important to do it early on in this marketing mix exercise, just purely because it would be so ideal and so easy to put together a strategy that was all singing, all dancing, and saw you splash all over the place, but it all comes down to budget. And if you can't afford to do that at the moment, then this will just be a paper exercise. So get that part nailed down quite early. This is the area that you can really start to have some fun with the marketing mix, and there's just some samples here, but you will know really what you want to achieve. It might be that you just want to retain your current business levels or get somewhere close to last year to keep your head above the water and just come through the pandemic slowly and gradually and look to increase as time goes on. It might be that actually you want to ramp it up and you do want new customers, you want to increase your sales, or you might just want to improve your brand awareness, customer satisfaction, cross-sell, upsell, work with your existing customers in different ways. You might have a few of these goals, and that's okay. You might decide that you want to pick 3 or 4 or however many, and then as you move forward, you can then start to define a channel strategy for each of those goals. I'm just going to hold here just in case anybody's jotting anything down. And again, feel free to chip in. I know that there's some people on here who chatted with us last time. Don't be shy. We're happy to hear from everybody again. In particular, I'd like to know how you feel about your marketing. Are you nervous still? I know last time we spoke that we felt we were still in the very acute phase, and it was time to just batten down the hatches a little bit and be very cautious. But obviously, since the last webinar, we've had huge directives from the government. We're coming out the other side. There are a lot of businesses that are getting the green lights to open again. There are different social elements in place with exercise and so forth. Do we feel a little bit more confident? Is everybody feeling that, you know, it's more achievable, or are you still in the phase where you just want to sit and wait it out? Please feel free to chip in. We're really interested in that. Okay, so now we've got these elements, you can start to look at the message, and this is the marketing message that you will be putting out. And again, this is really just to put some ideas in place. It's not the meat on the bone, so don't worry at this stage about defining the perfect advertising or marketing message. So it's just about deciding on your tone. Again, you know what the business is come through. Are you going to retain the usual tone, or are you going to soften slightly, or are you going to sorry, I know there's comments popping in the chat, so I'll just wait for Laura to chip in with those. Are you going to change the tone? Are you going to be more cautious, like I say? Are you going to, sorry Laura, is there a...
Oh, that's fine. Do you want me to read them out? Is that okay?
Yeah, let's have some questions. I've heard enough of myself for a little while. Let's go for it.
No, that's fine, don't worry. So it's not so much questions, it's just people really sort of giving their opinion and their advice. So Jenny just says, I feel quite confident at the moment, feel we have delivered support to clients throughout the first stage and now ready to move to the second stage. Jenny, what's your business, just so we're all aware, just so we know what that is? And Maggie Shaw, so Jenny just says accountancy, by the way. Maggie Shaw just says, I've been doing a course about Facebook ads for my publishing business, and I'm really pleased with the initial results of brand awareness since the ad went live last week. So Maggie, that's really, really good news to hear that there's some really positives coming out of coronavirus, basically. Yeah.
Fantastic. No, that's great to hear. And Jenny, I echo your sentiment, even on a personal level and also with work. I feel too a little bit more confident now. I think we've realised that it's not going away anytime soon, and I think we know we're just going to have to learn to live with this. And I do think that with the stores with the social distancing in place, and hopefully people have started to, you know, embrace that a little bit more and not be so I know at one point I was terrified to go to the supermarket. I think most of us were, and as we start to move towards more of a new normal, as the buzzword is at the moment, I do think that's improving our confidence, which is brilliant, because it means for business that we can really look at starting to keep that marketing going and look towards the future. And Maggie, what a great opportunity during this time to pick up new skills, and it's fantastic to hear. I'm a huge advocate, and I'm not paid by them, of course, but I'm a huge advocate of Facebook channels in terms of the sponsored posts and the advertising opportunities that they offer. I think it's really great for many types of businesses, particularly if you don't have a huge budget as well. And like you say, it's brilliant for branding. So well done there for picking up some new skills.
Brilliant. Helen just says, we're feeling quite confident and more excited in investing in our marketing. Helen, can I just ask what business you're in? It's great to hear these positives. Construction.
Fantastic, Helen. That's really interesting to hear, because we know, of course, your sector was very publicly opened up recently, and it's great to hear that you've got that confidence then to look at your marketing spend as well. And I do think it feels like a general flavour. I mean, we only met on the last webinar. It was around a fortnight ago, or just over. And we just feel in such a different place, and I think that's a really strong positive. I think it's testament, particularly like the resilience of the Staffordshire County and the businesses here, that we're all ready to take the bull by the horns and just go for it, albeit of course with the relevant social distancing and health and safety in place. And it's heartwarming to see, because I think there are a lot of people out there in our county and wider who were really worried at one point whether the business was going to come out the other side, and I think we're hopefully starting to keep the faith a bit more now, so it's great.
Brilliant. Fantastic, Fiona. I think you can carry on now.
Great. And again, going back to the marketing message then, this is a really crucial one about using a single message, and I think we all sometimes see advertising out there, or we'll see marketing where you try to get the kitchen sink in one post or in one piece, particularly in a leaflet or a flyer or, you know, a social media post, and it can confuse the audience. And what we find is it's proven that audiences like a one message piece, which basically means focusing on a product or a service and not confusing the offer. And we'll see a little bit later when we look at audience that it's really crucial, because actually you might, depending on those goals, once you work through this marketing mix process, have different audiences per product or service. And by separating them down into a one message, you are then able to target that to different audiences rather than trying to blanket target, which is really difficult. And well, actually, I always say if you go for everybody, you'll probably end up with nobody. And that's really important with the messaging. So once you've got the basic outlines of what those messages will be, what kind of products or services you're going to talk about, or is it actually a branding exercise, you can then, as we move forward, tweak the content to the channel. And what I see a lot of the time, and we've all been guilty of it, I put my own hand up because we're so pressured with time, that if you put something out on LinkedIn and then you might do it on a scheduler, or you'll copy and paste it and you'll whack it out on Facebook and you'll sling it out on Twitter, and there we go, my social's done for the week. And I get that, it's okay, but we've got different audiences on those channels, and we've got different ways that people interact. And I always relate it to myself. When I go on Facebook and I have a quick flick through, it's probably because my brain's a little bit frazzled, and maybe when I'm working really hard, I just want a quick cup of tea and I'm going to escape for a while. I want to see funny things and heartwarming things. And if I've got your LinkedIn content on my Facebook that's quite formal and quite business-like and not to the tone of the channel, then it can be quite a turn-off. So it's just something to be mindful of. Again, we've just discussed very briefly, but the products and services, do you have one type of audience, or do you diversify? Are you in different sectors? Have you got B2B for one side, have you got B2C for the other? Are some aimed at manufacturers, but some actually are aimed at professional services? So once you've nailed all the rest of the marketing mix to this date, you can actually look at your audience. And then I always say it as well, and it's what I base most of my marketing on, is just going with your common sense and gut feeling. And I'll always say it that you are the expert on your business and you know what works for you. You might have some little chips of nuggets from the past that you've tried some marketing, like, you know, Maggie's just said she wanted to improve her branding with the Facebook ads, and that's happening. That's something that Maggie can take forward now to know that that's a good channel for us. So you're going to have had these happen in the past where you might have done a leaflet campaign, or you might have done a social media campaign, or pay-per-click, or whatever that channel is, and you know that at that time for that audience it worked well for you. So bring that to the party now. You don't have to, just because we're in a pandemic, forget all of that and start from scratch, because a lot of what worked before will work now, and it gives you something to base your first trial on. So use your gut feeling. Also as well, just think potentially, where are these people hanging out? So if you are B2C, or you have a mixture of that sector, then you can actually know that they're probably going to hang out at some point on Facebook. If you've got a younger audience or a more trendy audience, then they're more likely to be on Instagram. If you're very B2B, then you might decide to just focus in on Twitter and LinkedIn. So what I see time and time again is many businesses who have got websites, and you'll scroll to the top or the bottom depending on where those widgets are, and they've got a YouTube, and they've got a LinkedIn, and they've got a Twitter, and they've got a Facebook, and they've got Pinterest, and they've got every single social channel that's available all plugged into the website. And then when you click through on them, and this is no slaw, by the way, we were all guilty of some of these at some point. One, I wasn't updated for the last 3 months. One's only ever had one post. One's only been updated in the last 3 weeks. And what you get the sense of, and then maybe one of those channels is really, really good, and you look and you think that's what the business likes running, that's their comfort channel. That's okay, we all do it. My comfort channel is LinkedIn. But we just have to make sure that we realise what time we've got available. So don't worry to have every single channel out there. And again, people come to me quite regularly and they say, I really need some help with Twitter, please. But what I'll say, well, let's take it back. Why are you on Twitter? Who do you want to attract? What are you going to be promoting? And it's looking at all those questions and not just choosing channels because you've heard that you should have one, but doing an exercise like this marketing mix exercise today, and then actually applying the relevant channels for the right audience and doing enough that you can keep them up to date. You might decide to run every single channel and get an agency involved, and that's great as well. You'll know what suits the business best. And again, with your audience, and it's easy to neglect when we're looking at marketing to go out there and think, how are we going to get this brand increase? How are we going to get the new audience? How are we going to convert new customers? But what we don't always do is put an existing customer strategy in place. And it's easily forgotten, but actually they're our gold dust. That's the bread and butter. So that's where you're going to get the most upsell opportunity, cross-sell opportunity, and retention. And that's because they're locked into your brand, they know you, they trust you. So they're the easy pickings if you want to look at improving your conversion. So really focus down on the strategy for that side as well. I'm just going to stop there a second. I see that we've got some more popping through. I don't know if Laura's going to read something for us.
Sorry, my computer was just a little bit slow there, Fiona. So Derek's just said, morning, what is the best way to measure campaigns and pay per click other than Google?
Sorry, can I catch that name again, Laura? Derek, was it?
Derek, yeah, Derek.
Yeah, morning, Derek. Great question. So if you are doing pay-per-click, then the best way to measure that is with your analytics. So it's, you've obviously as part of the Google AdWords proposition, you're going to have analytics through there, and you've also got your Google Analytics as well. Other than that, you can measure on conversion. So if your goal was to get new customers or more web hits, then you can look, are you having those sales coming through? Are you having more inquiries? So it can be quite organic in that way, as well as looking at stats. And everybody works differently. So I know people who really don't like analytic reports, and no matter how much time they've put into trying to understand them, it just doesn't resonate with them. And that's okay, because some people just prefer to look at what happens in terms of the business. Does the phone ring more? Do they get more emails? And you will know what works best for your business. It's about finding that measurement tracking tool that you're comfortable with. I don't know if that's fully answered the question. I don't know if there might be some more channels you mentioned. So please feel free to chip back in. But again, it's very important. We all know that it's important to find the way to measure that works for us, because if you do a beautiful campaign that you spent loads and loads of time planning the right audience and the right goals and the right messaging, and then you don't measure it, then we don't really have that harvest that data to shape the campaign as you move forward. And that's how you nail down your marketing strategy and you get that go-to, is by measurement. So next time when you know you need a quick upturn in sales, you know what your formula is, and you can pop it out, and you know that you will, all being well, have that upturn that you're looking for. So it's really important to measure and track. Did Derek pop back in with anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Lovely. So hopefully that's answered it. But I think.
Thanks. You just said thanks.
All right. Thanks, Derek. But again, I'll share my contact details again at the end to anyone who does ask questions today and wants to talk about them in more details, or anybody who didn't have a question but one that pops up later, then please feel free to keep in touch with me. This is just a jumping off point today. So the biggie, the channels, and it's almost gets left to the end for the exact reasons that I've just spoken about before, is that if you pick the channels before you know what the audience is and the goals and what you're trying to do and what the messaging is and what the budget is, then it's really going to be difficult for you to put the right work in place to achieve what you're looking for. It's almost like shutting the stable door, if I'm honest. And I see it very regularly, and people, like I say, people do come and approach me that they want advice on a certain channel and they want to be on there, but actually when we work it backwards and we work through the marketing mix, it's not quite the right channel for them. So by the time you've done this lovely piece of work to get you to the point where you're looking at channels, you can now start to build up a picture of where to place the campaign. And as you work through the marketing mix, this almost becomes apparent. You will realise that actually you're dealing with a certain sector, and you know that they're probably going to be hanging out in certain places, and you can start to shape the campaign on the back of that. Again, like I say, your budget plays a huge part. So if you don't have a budget, or you have a very low budget, then you're probably going to be looking at different things, such as updating the website, social media channels, running your own content, encouraging reviews from your existing customers, Google business, email marketing, referral marketing in terms of your network, so asking people that you work with and trust if they can refer you. And only then from that list is when you start to then pick up more of a cost attached. So there are plenty, don't be disheartened if that budget isn't huge, because there is plenty that you can be getting on with. And this is just, we know that there are over 100 channels for marketing. There are literally so many infinite combinations. Actually, what you can do is just choose fewer, but make sure you do them well. We've already touched on that. But if you can nail, say, a 5-channel strategy and really, really put the right messaging out there and put some energy into it and time and nurture that campaign, you're probably going to have a better opportunity to achieve your goals than you are choosing 12 of those and just running them, you know, quite lightly without that attention. So you might feel that you've got some budget and actually you do want to put that to something more budget high, such as you want your SEO campaign to start running. And SEO is one of those channels that people ask me about time and time again, and it's still, unfortunately, and I can completely understand why, it's very poorly understood marketing style, and people expect results quite early. In SEO, you can get some quick results, but it's not an instant thing. It's really important, and I would always, if you can find a good agency and you feel that you want to improve your organic SEO, I do think it's worth investing in. And it's about having that patience with it and giving that time, because by the time changes are made to the back of house of the website, it takes time for Google to index those changes and to make sure that they're in the right place. So absolutely worth investing in if you consider it's a long-term approach. And I would suggest a minimum of a 12-month campaign if you do take that on with an agency, and see what happens there, and see if you get the results you're looking for. If you're looking for something a bit quicker and you haven't got the patience, but you've still got a bit of budget, then pay-per-click is absolutely ideal. You go in and you're getting served in front of the people who are looking for your products and services. There's no wastage. Again, you could take an agency on for that. I think Laura's going to chip in with something, are you, Laura?
Yes, sorry. So Joanna's just asked, do you want to finish off your sentence and then I'll ask? So Joanna's just asked, how do you think a leaflet campaign would go down in the current climate? Do you think having a large majority of people at home would help or hinder the campaign? And she's and her business is a landscaping company.
And was that Helen? Sorry.
Joanna.
Sorry, Joanna, I'm terrible with names today. So Joanna, I think you're absolutely bob on. You've got a huge opportunity. I think if the leaflet was designed in a sensitive and nice way, I know that I would be hugely receptive to something like that coming through the door. And there are certain sectors, whether that's gardening or takeaway, you know, you represent an opportunity there, like you say, with people at home. So certainly I think that I'm not getting much post as well at the moment. It's just the basics. So yeah, huge opportunity. I think if you'd have asked me the question 2 weeks ago, I might have said there was a little bit of risk of brand damage, that it just looks like we were jumping on the back of it too early. But I genuinely feel now we're coming through that second phase. I think that we've got an audience who recognise that businesses need to keep going and they need your services, particularly at this time of the year. So go for it. And anyone else who wants to chip in with specific questions about their mix, please do. We've got another one flashing up, have we?
No, just Joanna saying thank you.
Oh, thanks, Joanna.
For those of you that don't know, by the way, you can ask live questions as well. So if you raise your hand, we will be able to do the live questions just in case anybody wants to do that as well.
Yeah, it'd be lovely to talk to you as well, everyone. Again, you've got so many channels, and you can't just look at this list. I know that I've said it time and time again, but it's so important to recognise that you can't just look at the list and say, right, well, okay, oh, I quite fancy doing that one, and I think I'll do that one, and oh, I might try this one, because what you're going to do there is you're not putting the common sense behind it that we need to shape the campaign. So I know that at the moment this just looks like a list, but I can promise you that if you work through in the order that I've said today, the marketing mix, this will become apparent, and you will know which channel you want to use for which strategy to achieve which goal. I'm here as well, so please feel free, even if you start half the exercise and it's like double Dutch, or you still did everything and you still don't know which channels, or you just want a second opinion, then please email me afterwards. I'm here to support you, and if I can't help, then I will find someone who can as well. Again, we've said that time and time, but it's test, measure, tweak. So just put in a small test. Don't commit too much budget if you're not comfortable. Go back, measure, and measure along the way as well. Because if you've got, for example, a social media ad campaign running, and you press go, and then a month later when that campaign ends is the first time you go back into that that measurement side, then those analytics, then actually what you're going to find is that you've missed an opportunity. So it's going in, you might go in on a daily basis, it takes 2 minutes just to see how it's performing. If it's not performing the way that you want it to, then you can either up the budget slightly, or you can change some of the audience caveats slightly. So do keep on top of your campaigns, which is why I say it's really important to choose fewer but do them well. And the same goes for pay-per-click as well. You'll get the best out of pay-per-click if you decide to run that yourself or your agency, by going into that campaign while it's live, testing that it's working, and moving the parameters slightly if you feel that you need to. You might decide to go completely the opposite of what I've just said and leave it to run for the month, but it's still really important to go in and just check that's working, because what you don't want to find is that actually nothing happened with the campaign whatsoever. It was completely the wrong audience, and you get to the analytics at the end of the month. You spent all the budget, but there was no response. So it's really useful to do that. And once you get into the habit, it becomes quite interesting, I find. But I am a stat junkie, of course, being a marketer. So again, you've got other pieces like blogging. I actually, in my Google journey last night, in my personal life, came across a blog that was something that I was looking for that I didn't actually realise was a related company. So I'm at the moment considering some home improvements. I'm part of the Don't Move Improve crew. I was Googling about garage conversions, and I read a lovely blog that gave me some great pointers. And when I got to the end of it, it was actually a storage company who'd written that blog. And it was so nicely, subtly done and so interesting that it didn't feel salesy. So it's with blogging, it's about talking around your topic. So a lot of the time I'll see people blogging and they're just talking about what their company's been up to. And that's great. But if you can really do some great blogging and you can optimize it as well, but you talk around your sector and around what people might be searching for rather than just about your company, you've got some opportunity there for subliminal marketing that actually leaves a positive impression on the audience. So again, a great one that's not got a cost attached, or it might do it just slightly if you do take someone on to help you with the writing and the delivery, but low cost for a great outlay and opportunity. Sorry, Laura, have we got another comment coming in? I wasn't sure then. I'll carry on for now.
Hi. So Paul just says, hi, I am a consultant in catering, which has been hit very hard during the pandemic. I focused on support using social media. Do you feel brochures and mail shots would be effective?
I'm going to just ask you a little bit more detail, Paul, before I answer that one. So catering, who was the previous audience and which audience do you have in mind? So if you did put those leaflets or brochures out, what would you be looking to achieve from that? And please feel free, if you prefer to chat to us about this rather than type, you can do.
So he says his focus is on school catering.
Okay, so yeah, obviously you've had a really tough time, so well done to getting through this to this point, Paul, and to still being positive about it and looking at how you can get that business revived again. It's, you know your sector very well. Now, education is notoriously a challenging sector to get hold of, and if you've already got those relationships, then absolutely it could be a time to reopen now. Well, bear in mind, probably in this very acute phase of schools reopening, that the staff are going to be really busy just putting the new measures in place, but absolutely feel that you can market however you normally do, whether that's phone, email, brochures, leaflets, to speak to your audience who you have got a relationship with. And if you do want to then convert new business as well, it might just take a little bit longer, because I do feel that that sector has got a lot on the plate as well with the changes of the legislation. So it's just about taking the time, but I certainly feel that you've got an opportunity there, and it's okay to start doing that now as they start to come back next week. You'll know in your gut whether you think it's the right time to hit it from when they are opening again, or whether you just want to wait for a week or two just to let that settle in. Hopefully that's answered, but please come back if you want to know any more. Okay, we talked about Google Business last time, and I know that we're going to be running a session, aren't we, Laura, in the near future. If you're not comfortable with Google Business and you don't know how great that tool can be, then please do look out for that. Is that going to be on the Chamber website, Laura?
It is, yes, and it's going to be up and coming in the next, not next week, I think probably the week after or the week after that, where we just do, just call it purely on Google Business, and just how you use that effectively. What with everything going digital, it's probably one of the most important tools to use at the moment. So.
Definitely. And again, if anybody's got any ideas, we are with the Growth Hub as very excitingly being invited by the Chamber to run these webinars as a series for marketing. So you're going to be seeing me around for a little while yet, and every 2 to 3 weeks we will be doing other topics. So if you've got a particular topic that you really want to cover and you want to hear about, then do let us know, because whilst at the moment the first 2 of these I've done something more of a wider view, I am happy as well to really drill down, and if I don't run that, we can get other marketeers to run as well. So we really want to make these marketing sessions relevant, useful and helpful to everybody. So please feel free to be part of that and to drive our content, because we are here for you effectively. So we've talked loosely around the different examples there. We've all seen that on screen. Influencer marketing, I hear quite a lot of people wanting to dip the toe into, and it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant influencer marketing if you've got that right audience. Now, if you've got quite a trendy audience who, they perhaps you've got a restaurant and you want to start drawing a different crowd, or perhaps you are a fashion designer or developer, or there's so many ways that influencer marketing can work, or even if you are a chef, or so it's just thinking outside the box, but it is notoriously difficult to get the right influencers. So it's one of those that I would run as a side piece. So you might decide that actually you want that running in the background, but really it will take time to find the right influencers and to actually see any conversion from it, because really influencer marketing is very much brand awareness, and if that fits in with your goals, then great. Let's have a look at another one. Video marketing. We all love video. I think something like 83% of online users actually engage with video, which is enormous. And now when I first started working in video about 10 years ago, offering that at one of the agencies that I worked at, we always advised that a video had to be shot professionally, and that it had to be a corporate video with a voiceover and professional editing. And I think that's still great to have, and there's some brilliant companies out there that do that, and it's nice to have that in your portfolio. But now we can also do our own videos. You know, there's absolutely no harm in just setting up a selfie, you know, a selfie tripod, running a video. And that way we don't expect perfection. If you're just doing a quick vlog or you're doing something, a snapshot of your product line to put out on social, I think we love to engage with video, don't we? And we like to see things. It's very visual. And the same goes with image-led marketing as well. Huge opportunities there. And email marketing. So we've got huge opportunities with email marketing for our existing customer base. And for those who were on the last webinar, you'll remember me hearing me say that email marketing for new clients is quite a hard first touch point. You have to think how you engage with email yourself. I am really snooty with it. If I've not heard of that company, I'm going to be deleting it. That's for both inboxes that I'm managing, working out, because we just don't have the time. And it also just feels intrusive after GDPR. So email marketing for me is very much a relationship tool now for those existing clients, or those clients that you've had tentative sales conversations with and you want to share more helpful information with them. But really for that existing client strategy, you can use email marketing for newsletters and updates, and to put surveys to them, and to do, you know, satisfaction surveys and opinion surveys. You can use it to see if they're happy with their service levels. You can use it to talk about what the business is doing as we're coming through the pandemic. So I do feel email's lost a little bit of flavour. I work with two databases at the moment. One's got over 4,000 and one's got over 10,000 emails on there. And I know that we have good interaction with email if you get the database right, if you get the messaging right. What I wouldn't encourage anyone to do with email marketing is to try and get a sale on there. You know, don't push that product message too hard. It's about creating awareness. It's about sharing good news, and it's about sort of skirting around the outsides of that sales conversation in order to build relationships. So yeah, absolutely huge opportunity there. I'm not going to drill down into any of the others right now, but if anyone wants to chip in, then please feel free. So we are not doing too bad on time. I'm getting better at checking on that clock. So I've just done a quick example here, and I've made up a company and put this together very, very quickly just to show that how this piece comes together. When we've talked today, there'll be some people who this resonated with, and there'll be some people out there who think, oh my goodness, I don't know where to start. I'm not a marketeer, and that's okay. Hopefully this slide here just shows you, really, if you just get a snapshot document that's a one page like this, it will give you a real huge tool to move forward with. So the company is a small legal firm, my new company that was invented yesterday. Whoops. And we offer residential and commercial conveyancing, wills and probate, and family law. I'm aware of all the current climate for the external factors. I've done my SWOT analysis for internal. I've got a loyal customer base, and estate planning is increasing, and that's my strengths. My weakness is I've got a bit of a reduced staffing due to furlough. My opportunity is I've never talked formally to my existing clients about my additional services. I always just take them for the service they inquire about, but we don't let them know what else we do. And my threat is that I know there's a larger firm out there that's not furloughed staff, they're on full staffing. And also just due to marketplace, I know that property transactions might be reduced. When I'm looking at my products and services, I need to reduce the variety of services for new clients in the conveyancing side because I've not got the staff in either commercial or private. Other than that, I'm going to retain everything. My budget, I want to be cautious at this stage. As I've said, we've been battered and bruised. I'm just going to take it really steady and only make a very small amount available now. But I know that I want to retain my existing clients because they're really important to us. I know that I want to cross-sell additional services to them by educating them about what I do. And I want to secure some brand awareness in the commercial conveyancing marketplace. But this is really important to me because we've spent a hell of a lot of time building up a reputation in commercial conveyancing, and I will be heartbroken if I let that slide but I know that I'm not going to pick work up in that area. So I don't want to be pushing a sales message, but I want to keep my brand alive. My message to my existing clients is that I want to offer support. I want to create awareness of services and my branding. I want to be community led. I want to show kindness and I want to show trust. My audience is going to be my existing B2C client base, and I know that I've got clients who've used me for family but perhaps not used me for wills and probate, and I know vice versa as well. And my conveyancing branding is going to go out really to both markets, but my most important one is for the commercial. So developing my goals on the back of that, so actually the outcomes for those goals is for goal number 1, which is retain my existing clients. I'm going to communicate with them regularly by phone and email to reassure them that we're here. We're being open, honest and reliable. I'm going to update the website just to say that we're all still working, and amend my hours on Google Business so that everybody knows what the situation is. I'm going to also put on our out of office for staff an explanation of how we're still working, just so that we can demonstrate trust. And I'm going to share positive community posts continually on social media channels to keep that good impression with my existing client base. Goal number 2, which was to cross-sell to my existing clients, I'm going to share these very subtly. I don't want them to feel that they're being sold to at the moment, but I'm going to put them in my e-newsletter, and I'm going to be able to do that through talking about success stories and using testimonials and reviews to highlight my other services to them without directly selling. And for goal number 3, this is really where I'm going to invest a lot of my time and budget, because I'm worried about that for the most part. I don't want to lose that footing in the commercial conveyancing sector. I'm going to use my social media to demonstrate the successes, publicly congratulate the commercial clients on moving in dates and anniversaries. I want to raise my own profile through blogs, through networking and webinar opportunities. I want to be seen to comment on relevant news on the right channels, and I want to align myself as a thought leader on LinkedIn. And to do all that, I know that that's a challenge for me because I've not got a great experience in that. I'm going to look around exploring some PR agency support costs to help with that. So hopefully, and I'm just going to quickly go back to this slide again, we can start to see now how those individual pieces of the jigsaw and doing them in that order can really start to shape what we're doing. And this, again, it's got no meat on the bones, it's just an outline. And when you do your own, you'll then drill down and you'll want to really look at those channels and you'll want to look at those messages, and you'll probably put sample campaigns together, run them for a while, tweak, roll them out again. So this is very much just an outline. Does that make sense to everyone? Is everyone thinking that's useful for them? What are your thoughts so far? Please feel free to chip in. I'm just going to wait a little while just to see if you want to comment on anything before we wrap up. Very impressed with myself. We've got 6 minutes to go. I'm getting better.
Again, we're happy to take live questions. So if you do want to speak rather than type, that's absolutely fine. Just raise your digital hand. That would be fantastic. But we are still taking questions and anything you want to put in the chat as well.
Yeah, and definitely as well, before I do wrap up, if there's any slide that anyone wants me to go back to that will be useful for you, if you were writing a note and I moved on too quickly, then you can just let me know that as well. I'm happy to do that.
So Maya's just saying thank you for the session. So sorry about the background noise there. Ted just says, from your experience, how would you rank the following platforms in order of priority and effectiveness for a new B2B business looking to market? So, and then he just put some examples: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google Ads.
Hi Ted, I know we spoke quite a lot last week. It's nice to have you on with us again. I would say for what you're doing, I would look at definitely LinkedIn, Twitter, if you feel that you've got the time to put to it. Twitter's very much just a snapshot, so I would say LinkedIn is the more important one if you want to drive the business. Twitter is a secondary. Google Ads, if you've got budget, I'll always recommend that because it's amazing. It just takes a little bit of time, but you know, if you can get the right campaign, or you've got a captive audience with Google Ads, you've got people who are actually looking for what you do. So no wastage, perfect marketing when the budget's there. Facebook, I do like a Facebook for a business company, and this is controversial, but I just think it adds that human element to the brand. So if you want to share lovely success stories and winning awards, and you've got a really nice team and you want to big them up and put them out, then Facebook's a nice platform to do that. But it depends, Ted, when you've been through this exercise, what your goals were. And if your goals were not to highlight the brand awareness and create some warm feelings to the team, then Facebook wouldn't probably be somewhere you need to focus your time on. Hopefully that answers, but do come back if it doesn't.
Tony just says, Tony's got another question while we're waiting, just to make sure that Ted's happy with that answer. Tony just says, I always struggle with motivating myself to do social media posts. Do you have any motivational tips?
Hello there, Tony. Nice to hear from you. So motivation for me, and you know, we all feel the same. We're tired, we've got 1,000 things on, it just feels like another thing to do. And for me, the motivation comes from knowing your goals. And if you know why you're doing something, and you're not just doing it because you've decided you've got to upload 3 times a week on social media, then actually you should be motivated by that. Because if you've gone through this exercise and your goal was to improve brand awareness through your social media channels and increase your followers from X to Y in a set period of time, and it's a specific smart goal, then actually hopefully that will be the motivation, because as you start to see results towards that goal, then you'll get a buzz from that and you'll want to keep doing it. If you were just using social media because you think you've got to be on there and somebody said that's what you should do now as a business, and you don't really know why you're on which channels, and you don't know what to post out there because you've not nailed down your messaging, then it becomes a slog. So it's just finding that balance to know why you're doing it. And if you can put it the right campaign in to work towards those goals, then hopefully as a business owner, that should be where your natural alignment comes from. Other than that as well, I would say use a scheduler, make life easier. Get a scheduler, whether you spend a little, you can get something like $100 a month, or you can do free ones as well, like a Hootsuite. Just explore schedulers and find one that you're happy with. And just doing it that way, you can have a good session and really upload all your content probably once a week. But what I do encourage as well, if you do decide to use a schedule for your social marketing, please do keep going back into your channels, because you don't want them to become a notice board. Social media is a two-way conversation. It's not you talking at a business and saying, hi, this is what we're doing, and leaving it. Really keep going back into your channels regularly, just to see if you had any comments or shares, if you can engage with anyone and keep that conversation going. And other than that, ping me an email and I'll motivate you for the day. I'll get my stick out.
Brilliant, Fiona, thank you. Karen just says, we've set up a separate Facebook and LinkedIn page for our specialist accounts and finance recruitment division. Do you have any tips on how to grow very niche pages? We're a commercial recruitment agency.
Hi there, great question. And the trick really is to just have some patience. If you want to build that audience specifically just in that sector, it's just time and patience and nurturing and sharing the right content. So what you want to do is create that domino effect. So whether your social media content, if you put something out, you've got to be thinking, is this going to grow my audience? Is anybody going to share it? Or is it just yada yada, we're brilliant? So make it around the sector, make it useful for people, because if you can get people, even if you've only got a handful of people in your social, if you can get the right people to share your content by making it share worthy, that's how you start to grow the audience, because somebody else is going to spot it who's not already connected to you, and they're going to want to follow. Get your descriptions right, make sure that people know what they're following and why, so that that audience is relevant. You might also as well share it through your other channels. So definitely if you've got an email marketing campaign, tell the followers on there, explain why it's important to you and what people can get out of going on those channels to follow. And also as well, if you've got multiple channels, feel free to share them, share across, use your existing audience to share the current new channel, and be able to say, hey, we've got this channel, if it's relevant for you, it covers X, Y, and Z, it will do this for you, please go on and follow if you think that's going to be helpful. Really just to do a bit of a multiple approach. Definitely happy though, if you want to chat about that in more detail, to ping me an email, we'll set something up. Thank you.
Brilliant, Fiona. Mark's just made a very good point. He said the key word to remember with social media is social.
Absolutely, Mark. And is that the Mark that I think that it is, with the social media manager, Mark?
Mark Warren.
Yes, hi Mark, lovely to have you on with us. And that is the trick to it, and this is going back to my comments about the not allowing your social media to become a notice board. It must be a two-way conversation, because that's what it's there for. So use your business page, go out and comment on relevant things, share things in your sector. Don't just make your social media a whole wall of your posts, because it's not interesting to people. And there's the rules are that you really need to be sharing probably more content from others than your own if it's relevant to your sector. And like Mark says, absolutely keep it social, comment, become a thought leader in the sector, make sure that you're a real part of that community, because it's almost, if you can imagine social media like a room full of people at a networking group, imagine there's a notice board on the wall, and you stand up the corner, but you pin up your business card, and then you stand with your arms folded. And if you don't comment and you don't chat with people on there and use it like a community, that's what you're doing. So don't be the guy up the corner at the networking group with his business card pinned up. Keep it social, like Mark says, and you'll have a lot of success with it. And it's more fun that way as well. You're really, like Tony said before, it becomes a bit of a bind sometimes. If you're using it the way that it needs to be, in that community way, then absolutely you should enjoy it more. Thanks, Mark.
Brilliant, fantastic. Any other questions from anyone?
No, okay. So I put these up the last time that we met on here, but again, it's just to say that there's so much support out there. We're so lucky in our county that there's fully funded support, and there's also associates and membership organisations for small costs. So please do seek out support. Don't do this alone. You've got myself and the rest of my colleagues at the Growth Hub. You've got the guys over at the Chamber. Let's Do Mentoring Team, which is an amazing programme. You've got the Skills Hub, who can look at part funding some marketing training for you. You've got your own business network and associates, your accountant, your agencies in marketing, or your social media experts. Utilise those. Your chamber membership, or if you are part of another membership organisation, you've got your network that you can share best practice and look to support. And again, the government, the website's fully updated. It's a great resource, and your local authority as well. So between all that, there's a lot of support out there. So don't be alone. Keep in touch with all of us. Use the support that's there. And I know that we can come out of this the other side, and we really can start to see business revival. And I genuinely believe that, if it doesn't kill us, it make you stronger. I really think we're going to be so much more resilient coming out of this, and we're going to be more innovative. We're going to be more demanding. We're going to look to different ways that we can just move forward and make sure that we've got strong businesses. Whereas in the past, sometimes we do get a bit complacent. We all do. We just do what we always did. And this represents a huge opportunity. Hopefully, with all the support that's out there, you can see that yourselves and know that we really can move forward out of the pandemic and make a huge success of the county that we're known for resilience. So let's do it together. And again, just for those who didn't jot them down, these are my contact details. Also, you've got the business helpline, which will go through to my colleagues. That's if you want to speak to the Growth Hub about any other element of business, not marketing. So HR, funding and finance, general business, bring the business helpline. If it's about marketing, pop myself an email. You've got the Twitter and the LinkedIn there as well. So let's keep it social, let's have a chat, and I'll look forward to engaging with you all more as we move forward. Thanks, everyone.
Brilliant, Fiona. Thank you so much today. Really appreciate it. And I hope everybody got everything out of it that they needed. But for those of you that have questions, feel free to obviously contact Fiona separately. I noticed that a couple of you joined us after we'd started, so just bear in mind that we do a recording of this, and it will be on the Chamber website, and you can watch all of the Chamber websites and the Growth Hub websites on our Chamber website as well. So yeah, so please have a look, and there's some really good information out there, like Fiona said, to really get your teeth into, ready for the start of the business world again, getting things up and running. Fantastic.
And I know we have just had some bits pop into the chat, so I didn't want to miss any questions. Have we had any more?
No, believe it or not, it's just people saying thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, everybody. And please, let's just make this a jumping off point. We're all here. We can all help you. So share your ideas. You know, even if you just ping me an email and say, oh, I tried it, but I didn't get on with that model. Have you got any other tips? Because there are so many ways to get towards that outcome. And if I didn't explain it in a way today that resonates with you, then I can have a chat with you in a different format that hopefully will spark something and you'll get something out of it. So good luck, everyone. I know you've all got it in you. You can really get this going. And yeah, please feel free to keep in touch. Thanks, everyone.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe.
Take care. Bye.